No. Don't ruin it.
Subscribe to Spaghetti Noobs.
You see?
Hey guys, Spaghetti Noob here. So the last video that I had in the description, I talked about not having a lot of videos. So here's one of the main reasons why. My battery has been dead for a really long time, and I've been trying to resolve this issue with a company. But yeah, their customer service is like, there is no customer service. So basically what happened was the footage that you saw right before is real. I didn't pre-record it. I got on my bike, I geared up, and then I hit my record button right before I start the ignition. And my bike didn't start. And you heard the little the clicks that it makes, and I instantly knew that the battery was dead. And I was really hoping it wasn't the case, because it's the same thing that happened last year. So I'll go over basically what happened. I have my multimeter here that we're gonna test. You can see my bike is in the background. The battery is obviously not connected since it's right here. 2 years ago or so, my stock battery, my Yuasa, finally died on me. I mean, it was a pretty decent battery. Toward the end of its life, it started to, struggle as all old batteries do. And right before it actually kicked, I was like, I'm gonna do some research. I'm gonna try and, get a better battery, better performance. I live in a cooler climate, so I figured I would try to get one with higher CCA and one that's gonna, last me for another, 6, 7 plus odd years. Across all my research, I decided to go with Shorai. It was highly recommended, and it's basically a lithium iron battery, or was it lithium iron phosphate? I think it was lithium iron phosphate. Let's see if it says. It doesn't really say. It says lithium iron here, but I think it's lithium iron phosphate, if I'm not mistaken. I settled on this battery, as you can see here. It is the LFX19A4-BS12. Through the bike shop and through the manufacturer Shorai's website, the model that they actually recommended was LFX14A4-BS12, which was, I guess, a smaller, I don't remember the exact specifications, but in any case, they said, This is the upgraded version of that should give you a little bit more juice and whatnot. So I opted for this one, which was a lot more expensive. And it is a 12-volt battery. It has 19 PBEQ amp hours, which means lead acid equivalent of 19 amp hours, which I'll tell you that if you do the math, it's actually 3 compared to a regular battery. A regular 12-volt battery is 9 amp hours. This is 3 amp hours. And obviously, if your bike is running, that's going to factor in, is going to diminish fairly quickly. The CCA, cold cranking amps, is 285, so that's how much power that the battery is able to deliver on idle. And there's a whole bunch of things that kind of scared me about lithium-ion batteries, and aside from the price, this is very expensive. This is almost $200, not to include the BMS charger, battery management system charger here. This was $90. So total together, everything was about $300. So one of the things why I picked up this battery, it's really light. I mean, I don't know how much it weighs. I'm sure if you check the specs, I'm throwing this in the air and catching it. It's really light. So space savings there. I already have a light bike, so you have weight savings there, especially if you're racing or out on the track. Aside from that, I live in a cooler climate, as I said before, and the extra CCAs that this provides compared to our traditional lead acid battery or the other form factors was actually quite superb. If you look at their website, what it says you have to do is you have to turn your ignition on, wait about 5 seconds or so, and let the electricity run through the electrical system, and then you can start right away. Luckily myself, I never had that problem, which is really awesome, because I try to ride as long as I can, as cold as it gets. Basically, when they start putting salt on the ground, is when I stopped riding. So in the colder, below freezing degrees, I never had to turn the ignition on and or turn the the electrical system on and wait for that to power up. I would, as soon as I turn on the key, switch the key, hit the ignition, I would instantly get power. So that right there was awesome. I was liking this battery, right then and there. It was really light. It delivered, the cold cranking apps that it said. It didn't last that long afterwards, like, if you leave your key on, but I mean, who actually ever does that? Maybe if you have, a sports bike or a cruiser, or maybe during bike night where you have your radio on, maybe you have to charge your phone, you have something plugged in, or maybe you have like lights that are showing off at a bike night or something like that. But again, it's like practical situation, right? Like if you're stuck on the side and need your hazards on for something, how long is your battery going to last you? In any case, this battery was pretty awesome for the first year. But aside from that, it's not that good. And this is why you probably should not purchase a Shorai battery. So after the first year, the battery was fine. And the way I take care of my equipment is, even before with my stock battery, I would take it inside and I would charge it on a battery tender. Battery tender plus. Actually, it's right here. I wasn't thinking of showing this, but it's like right in front of me. So this is like I forget how much it was, but it was like close to $80 for, the full thing. You can get a battery tender junior, but, I usually I try to get, really good stuff for my bike. And I really keep up with maintenance as much as I can so it can prolong its life as anything. I would take my old battery and I would store it inside for maintenance. And I would do the same thing for this battery. But before that season even ended, or just as the season was ending, I had it on the their BMS, and I had it charged. But what ended up happening was this little guy malfunctioned. So for whatever reason, this malfunctioned, and it stopped providing power in the store mode, which is maintenance mode, and the battery died. The battery became over discharged and basically didn't work at all after that. So I called up Shorai, and they actually answered the phone. This was maybe like 2017. It was just within the first year of the battery. And because I was within the first year, they had me ship out the BMS and the battery, and it turned out that they have this little computer port PC port, where they can read and diagnose, and they were able to diagnose that this actually malfunctioned, which caused the battery to go over discharge, and one of the cells, or a few of the cells, weren't able to recover. I don't remember exactly what they said, but this was the cause. Because I was within a year, they sent me a new BMS and a new battery. Great. I was a happy customer. 1 year later, almost to the date, the battery died, as you saw in the beginning of the video. I geared up, got ready to ride, and it wouldn't start. There was just not enough power being delivered. So let me show you. Let's get this tested. Got a multimeter out, real simple test. You should be able to see it perfectly on the screen. And we're clocking at 10.9. So we got 10.9 volt. And this battery, when I first put her in, it was, and like after it came like drained or whatever and you charge it, it probably ran like 13.5. It typically ran higher than a regular 12 volt battery. And then on idle, it was probably, 13.5, 13.6, 13.7. When you would rev it up, it'd get anywhere from like 14 or whatever volts plus as the bike charges it up. So, what is going on with this battery? Is it the battery? Is it the BMS system? I don't know. I called them up, and I guess they're in a factory transition or something. I'm not 100% sure. That's basically what people have said online. But whatever the case is, I can never get through to a real person. The first time when I had an issue, I called and a real person spoke to me, and they were so helpful. It was a young woman, and she was very helpful, and she was really concerned about my issues. This time, I couldn't get a real person. Instead, I did another RMA request form that you can do on their website, and I basically got a nasty email saying, we can't do anything for you, but since this is after a year, this is post 1 year, we'll warranty our product for 50% off, and they gave me a coupon code for 50% off. I don't know about you, but if you have the same battery and the same thing happens within 2 times in a row, about a year apart from each other, are you going to purchase another one of their products? This is already, almost close to $200 product. So 50% off that is $100. I can buy top of the line lead acid battery for like way less than that, maybe like 60, 70 bucks. I can buy a stock Yuasa, or Yuasa, however you pronounce it, for that price, like 80 bucks. There are so many other lithium ion brands that are way cheaper than Shorai. But Shorai was the most expensive one, but it had good reviews, so I decided to bite the bullet 2 years ago, and it really bit me right back. Because now I'm sitting with a $300 paperweight. So we're going to test this again, and then I'm going to show you how I determined what's going on with it. So again, 10.9 volts. So here is where you actually charge. This has a little charging port. It's basically just like a phone, which is actually kind of cool. Even though you could hook up battery tender, because the one that I had, the battery tender that I have, works with it. And before I even bought this, what was really cool about their customer service prior to this, I called them and I told them I have this battery tender model that I used to use before. Can I use it? They said, yep, it's completely safe to use. The store mode is fine because it doesn't have the desulfation mode or whatever. So here's how you determine. Hopefully you can see it right. My finger is kind of blocking, but basically what you're going to do is you're going to start from left to right. You can't really see it that way. So you're going to start from left to right, and we're going to take negative to use it as a ground, and then we're going to use our positive. It's going to be really hard to see here. You see these little pins? And my finger is like right in there. So these are little pins. Alright, I changed the angle up just so I can get a read on it. So right now we're going to just test how much volts we got going. This is 11.6. Traditionally starting off, it's when it's fully charged, and when it was working okay, it was at 13.5. So we're going to test the entire battery and then each cell, and I'll show you how to do that. So we have these 5 pins here. If we start at the back with the negative, we touch the last pin, and you touch the first pin you encounter, and we have 3.3 volts. If I keep the neutral on, and I go to the next pin, you're just adding down the line. If I can get it to touch, there we go. So you're at 4.4. Going to the third cell, we're at 8.0. Going to the last cell, we're at 11.6. So this will read the same here, which should be 11.5, 11.6. So there's 11.6. Now, to determine each individual cell, you have to move the neutral each time. So try to be very careful. You got 3.3, and I'm going to take it off, and I'm going to reposition my neutral. And this cell is reading at 1 volt. Move it over. This one is reading at 3.5. Move it over. That's reading at 3.5. So if you add 3.5 plus 3.5 plus 3.5 plus 1 volt for this second cell, that will give you your total of 11.6. So that second cell is the bad cell. And if we charge this up, I can't plug that in yet. So I try to read a lot on these types of batteries and one of the things that I came across is, these lithium iron phosphate cells or lithium iron should be really hardy. They should be really good battery cells. Really effective. But a lot of times the problem that I've read is that the BMS system, which is a circuit board inside here that manages and monitors them, or the BMS, battery management system, is prone to failure or malfunction due to vibration issues. Now, this application is a motorcycle, so that is a lot of vibration. I mean, at idle, the bike vibrates. I mean, I don't even have, a big old Harley that you can, physically see it vibrating from, a few feet away. I just have tiny little ninja. But over time, especially as you're riding, turning, just regular cruising around, it could cause malfunction to the BMS and therefore could maybe disconnect from that third cell or that second cell that's messed up. Maybe can't balance the voltages or whatnot. So a lot of these BMS systems are prone to failure. And they're not even that expensive. I mean, like looks like it's like factory shield, but if it's popped off, it's just a circuit board, and that BMS system is like, they're not that expensive to get. They're like 20, 30 bucks to replace. Like, these batteries are really overpriced for one. I mean, you have a 4-cell battery in here. Your amp hours are definitely not 9 amp hours like it's supposed to be. It's the PBEQ, which is the lead acid equivalent. And I put it on stir mode, by the way. Cold cranking amps are good. It's really light, but what's so good if it can't even keep a charge? 11.6. It'll probably charge back up and then drop down again. And this is why you never buy a Shorai battery. After 1 year, mind you, this is a new battery. They sent me a new battery after the first one failed, or the charger and the battery failed. They only last a year. I didn't even get a chance to even store it because it was still like within the riding season. And as they always say, it doesn't make sense to me, right? But they say even when you're not riding the bike, you just hook it up, right, just so it has a constant charge. And I did that. I followed everything to their specification, and it still died. 2 years in a row. $300 down the drain. I could buy 6 lead-acid batteries, which would last 36 years if they lasted anywhere like my stock one, for the same price as the combination of this improved LFX 19A4 BS12 battery and their faulty BMS system. Hopefully I can get this issue resolved, but I highly doubt it. The last person that I spoke to, well, I didn't speak to them, in the email was very rude and disrespectful. I don't know what kind of customer service they have going on, but it seems like none at all. Do not buy a Shorai battery. I do not recommend it to anyone. Go the tried and true route. Get a lead acid battery. Get a lead acid battery with fiberglass mats. Go get a lead acid battery with gel. Don't get lithium ion. Don't get Shorai. Some other manufacturers like Ducati are putting lithium ion. Go with the brand that the OEMs are putting in. Shorai is not one of those brands. Do not go with Shorai. It will just cost you a headache. I am probably just going to get the regular lead acid battery from now on. It's going to last me 6-7 years. That's fine. Even if it lasts me 5 years, I get another lead acid battery for literally a quarter to a third of the price of what I paid for these. And I already have the Battery Tender Plus that will work on it. And Shorai has done nothing to help me. Well, they did offer 50% off coupon, but anyone in their right mind would know that that's not good enough. This is not a refurbished battery. This is a brand new battery and a brand new BMS system that they had sent me after the first one also malfunctioned. Call me crazy, but I'm going to go with a traditional tried and true lead acid battery, probably either with a fiberglass absorbing mat or one of the ones with the gel. So like I said again, do not buy Shorai. This battery is a $300, well combined is a $300 paperweight. I haven't been able to ride for just about a month now, and the riding season is almost done. I tried to get this resolved. I really didn't want to buy another lead acid battery, just temporary, because then I'll be stuck with, it. If so, I happen to come through and replace my battery, and I was definitely not going to spend, $150 with a 50% off coupon from their website, mind you. Like, I couldn't even have purchased it from any of the other major bike retailers, which are cheaper than the manufacturer anyway. Well, not by too much, but there you have it. Don't buy Shorai. Now, if for some reason that they happen to come through, maybe after they see this video, and they do make it right, then I will have an updated video. But based on the previous correspondence with them, I don't think that's going to happen. So, until next time, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share. Hit the notification bell. Thank you, and have a good day.